Hello and welcome to Unbounded Growth, a podcast that challenges you to grow and become a better version of yourself. My name is Marc-Alain, and together with my friend Adam, we share thoughts and ideas from the books that we read and how they enhance our personal growth and development. We also host other readers and leaders. We learn from their experiences through our discussions. Our episodes air every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for listening in, and let's grow together. Unbounded Growth. Hello, and welcome to Unbounded Growth. Howdy, the way we say it in Texas is Tuesday, August 30th. It's almost the end of August. Crazy, we're getting to the last quarter of the year. And I hope you're excited as much as we are. My name is Marc-Alain and I'm here with my friend and co-host Adam Shabindo. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well, Mark. And how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling a lot better. I don't know if you passed on some of your sicknesses online to me. I have no idea, but last week was a little bit crazy for me. Myself and Adam Blaze, we got a little sick, but thank God I'm feeling a lot better. My voice is definitely coming back to normal. It's just crazy how much you don't appreciate your health until you get sick, and then you start realizing
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, when it hit me here, actually, I was telling my friends today, to my friend that sickness was not a part of the plan.
I know.
Like I had everything so well planned for how this summer gonna end,
Mm-hmm.
and the sickness part of things was really not there, and it happened. And when it happened, then it put me so much behind with my work.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm running like really crazy after deadlines, and it's kind of insane. It just shifted my whole natural way of doing things.
Right.
So it's being sick is not cool at all.
It's definitely not cool. And I think one other thing that I was learning this week and just reflecting on the sickness and all that, learning to prepare for the unpredicted, learning to prepare how do I bounce back if this and that will happen to me. Of course, nobody plans to get sick or nobody plans to say, on Tuesday I'm going to get a little sick, unless you really hate your job. You already know your sick days. But if you don't, like naturally, there are certain things that we happen and we prevent you from reaching your goals. And one man, a man, I can't remember who said it, but he said that when a setback hits you, and that's why it's important we talk about it in the future, to have a strong why. It's important because when setback hits you, you know how to bounce back because you know why exactly you're doing what you're doing. But if you do not have a strong why, a strong motive as to why you're doing what you're doing, when you get your first setback, your first idea is to quit. It's like, you want to lose weight, you start going to the gym, and then you have something that happens in your family or something that happens to you. Your first idea is to quit. But when you have a strong why, you develop a strong sense of purpose, regardless of what happens to you, you just learn to adjust. So adjustment is definitely needed, even in personal growth and personal development. And John Maxwell even talks about that in the law of expansion. That would be law 14. But today, we are going to focus more on the law of modeling. Law 13, the law of modeling. He said that it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. But before that, just a quick update on our readings. I know Adam has been deep down in research. I don't even know if he's having time to read lately.
I've been swamped. Actually, I got a few hours in, but I'm still reading Good to Great because it's a really big book.
Right.
Actually, by Jim Collins, and it's more on the business leadership.
Business side. Yes.
Yeah, business leadership. It's so much into business leadership. You're talking about level 5 leader, but I'm wondering if he actually read John Maxwell before. But the way he's explaining that level 5 leader, he's not really going into in depth of who is a level 5 leader,
right?
Which is kind of something that
John Maxwell really calls out.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just rubbing off of John Maxwell. But he says that to take a company or an institution from good to great, you need a level 5 leader. And he's giving a lot of characters that a level 5 leader should have, which is a lot of things that John Maxwell talked about it, but at lower levels, which is kind of like, for example, productivity, which is John Maxwell put it on the third level.
On third level, yeah.
Yeah, but him actually like improving and increasing productivity of an institution.
To him, that's a level
He
five.
putting that, yeah, he giving that a lot of priority. So I'm
Wow.
like, maybe there's a lot more to this. There's like a lot more. Actually, no, he talked about succession.
Hmm.
He talked about succession a little bit in the book, but I'm still reading him. I got a couple of books also lined up. Actually, I have the 7 Man Rule. I got the book.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to block the time to read it.
To actually read it. Yeah, I
Um,
actually started rereading the book today after 6 or 7 years, and I realized one thing: those rules that she gives are pretty simple, simple stuff, simple rules to follow. But then again, I realized how much they've helped me in the last 7 years, just learning to stay out of debt, managing the income and doing those little things. And Zig Ziglar, I've been listening again to Zig Ziglar lately, and he has this video on YouTube. I think we promised to post it in the past, but we haven't done it yet. Zig Ziglar talks about the video, the audio tape is about 7 hours. It's a series of like 5 to 6 episodes, and he said that the great things in life are usually simple. Sometimes
mhm.
when someone is trying to teach you something about money management, we want to have a big book with 1,000 pages telling us all the details, and sometimes it's just the simple stuff that we neglect every single day that come and affect us back later. Like the good old saying, like an apple a day we keep the doctor away. Something very simple that you can do every day, just eating an apple, can prevent a lot of
Mhm.
sicknesses in the long run. But we as human beings, sometimes we just look for complicated, complex things in order for us. We feel like, oh, if it's complicated and it's true or it's real. And sometimes it's not as real as we may think. I finished up personally the book Super Fans by Pat Flynn. Definitely a great book for anybody who's out there in business as an entrepreneur. I think it's a great book to read. The way he structures the book and the idea about creating loyal customers that he calls super fans, people who are really
Mhm.
loyal not only to you but to your brand. Like when you think about a product like Apple have some people who I would say are ready to die for their devices. They're ready to
That's
die
true.
to protect the brand. You talk about Apple, you talk about Starbucks, you talk about Microsoft. All those big companies have some customers that are extremely loyal to their brand. And if you want to build a successful business, Pat Flynn suggests that you need to create also those super fans. So those are kind of the books that I'm reading. The 7 Rules of Money. Tiny Habits, I'm still reading that book. I've taken a break for 2 weeks for one reason. Not because I didn't have time, not because I couldn't read, but because he gives a lot of exercises to do in that book. And I'm trying to build some new habit. I just didn't want to flip the pages and go through the book and be done with it and put it back on my shelf. But I actually wanted to start trying, applying everything that he's doing. And I finished up applying some of the stuff that he mentioned, and I'm already seeing some tremendous result. If I can stay consistent with the changes that I've made, it's definitely, especially in my morning routine, has made a great difference in my life, and I cannot wait until we have time to talk about that and atomic habit as well. All right. Anything else before we dive into it?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, we can go ahead and develop this. I think this is a really exciting topic when it comes to mentorship and when
Exactly.
it comes to having somebody and having somebody who has been through what
You're going
you
to.
have been through, and
Absolutely.
the power of modeling. So we can directly just
All right,
dive
law
into it.
13. If you don't have the book, again, we are reviewing the 15 laws, the 15 invaluable laws of growth by Dr. John C. Maxwell. Law 13, the law of modeling. It's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. I think that statement alone is the summary of the law of modeling. It's hard to improve. It's not impossible. It is just hard to improve when you have yourself, but when you have no one but yourself to follow. The most important personal growth phase you ever hear a good leader say to you is follow me. That's the quote that is opening the book with. And the question that he asks at the beginning of this law is, whom should I follow? I would just give a personal, maybe history or testimony, whatever you choose to call it, when it comes to the law of modeling. I think I've said it before on this podcast. I was not Adam Shabindo growing up. I was not a Steelers kid. I was not top of my class. I was not top of anything at all. And I grew up with a lot of lack of self esteem, thinking to myself that I would never grow amount to anything. And and the law of mentorship, the law of modeling, the power of mentorship is definitely a testimony for me to show that anybody in life can go from 0 to 100, can go from 0 to 10, can go from 0 to 15. In 2017, there was a transformation in my life. I became a Christian and I started praying, and I met around me a few people in so many areas. And I became a little bit open to learn. And that's one thing about mentorship. You need to be open to learn. And a mentor, maybe we talk about this later, is not that someone who tells you everything to do with your life. No, it's someone you go to for advice, for direction. And I remember this gentleman. He was a friend to my brother. He was kind of a big brother to me till today. Beli Ramazani. He started telling me, giving me strategies on how to organize my time, on how to study, on how to fit everything that I was doing back in the days into my schedule: school, basketball, church activities, and all the other activities that we were doing. And to be honest, I owe a lot of what I am today to those first years of investing in my life. I like this saying in Africa. We say that it takes a village to raise a child. And the power of the village is having people around you that can mentor you, that can help you grow, that can advise you, that can tell you, listen, this won't work. What you're trying to do right now won't work. And so what should you look for when you're looking for a mentor?
Yeah, it's important to see what are the different characters that your mentor um, has,
Mm-hmm.
because it's and you cannot really isolate a lot of things, right? Because I mean, it's something that I'll disagree with a lot of people on this point, is that people tend to cluster a lot of characters and the skills, right? Like, my mentor is a person who has no respect for people,
Mm-hmm.
but he's good for business. And then, yeah, and then you start identifying,
Mm.
okay, he's a terrible boss,
Yep.
but he's making a lot of money.
Mm.
And yeah, that's the type of person you want to go to identify with. And then at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he made the money, but you won't make the money,
Right.
because your character won't is gonna it won't be as correct and
Yes.
as sustainable for money and for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's becomes an issue.
Mm.
Now, when it comes to whom to follow here in this aspect of things,
Mm-hmm.
is that there is so there's the invisible mentors, right? The
Mm-hmm.
non-tangible,
Yep.
non-day-to-day mentors
Mm-hmm.
that even John C. Maxwell talks about here, where, like, personally, John C. Maxwell, I see him as a mentor,
Same here.
because
He's mentored me
I,
for 11
I've
years now.
yeah yeah, so I've been reading his books. I've been just trying to to live in a certain way, understanding his way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to see how that way would help me.
Mm.
That goes with people like Albert Einstein.
Mm.
I look at a lot of the stuff that he was doing, but when it comes to academia, because
Academic.
I
Yeah.
don't want to marry my cousin or anything,
Right.
but like, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to doing that. But yeah, academically, he did something really amazing, but I don't want to follow him. I don't go around actually, like, claiming Einstein as, like,
A
my
model.
100%.
Yeah, the role
Yeah.
model that you follow.
So
Mm.
yeah, like, yeah, the 100% model, but I'll go for somebody like with the character of John C. Maxwell
Right.
when it comes to leadership, and when it comes to growth, like personal development,
Mm-hmm.
and just life overall.
Right.
The way he lived and the way his testimony,
Mm-hmm.
the way he talks about his life,
Mm-hmm.
that is another thing.
Mm.
And just to go in this perspective, one point that's actually going to point here is when we study the art of influence,
Mm-hmm.
because this, when it comes to following,
Yeah.
for you to follow somebody, you follow the people that have influence over you.
Yep.
Like Jesus preached and did just talk about the word, and then he had so much influence. He was
Mm-hmm.
speaking and people were listening. He created influence, and the influence
Create disciples.
created followers,
Mm-hmm.
disciples.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's how it works. Even today, we have, like, the quote unquote word influencers,
Mm.
where like they will go ahead and they will do whatever
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna speak to you,
Yeah.
and you wanna start following.
And that's how. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. So and when it comes to to mentorship,
Mm.
and in this, just to kind of answer directly the question that John C. Maxwell is trying to say here, and just to answer it in my own way, or to put it in Chris Widener's words,
Mm-hmm.
is that what are the few things that you want to see in somebody that can influence you?
Mm.
I've asked that question to Bora employees,
Mm.
and I had a conversation with them, like, what are the 10 things? Just write them down.
Mm-hmm.
You will see, and those 10 things, you realize that they can be divided into just two blocks.
Mm.
There's character
And skills.
and there's skills.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ability to do something, and there is also, like, where he talked about the three things, right?
Mm.
Chris Widener in Art of Influence, I think we talked about it. He
Yes.
talked about logos, ethos,
Mm-hmm.
and pathos.
And pathos. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He talked about logic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the big things. You want to follow somebody who's logical.
Mm-hmm.
And the best example actually on all of these three is Jesus Christ.
Yep.
You get the logical part marked, and then you get the ethical part, which
Mm.
is ethos,
Yep.
where the person actually has built character.
Yes.
And then pathos, that the person is very passionate about whatever it is that he does, and he's very enthusiastic about it in such a way that it's also inspiring you and pushing you to grow. So that is something that personally I've found in these different authors that I've read, like from James Clear to John C. Maxwell, going through all these different authors that I've read, like, for example, like the Voltage Effects author, I think it was Jim Allen, I believe that's his name.
Yeah.
And he just talks about amazing stuff in the book. So if I want to learn, for example, about different things, I pick up a book.
Yeah.
I create my like Jim Rohn is like one of the people I consider as a mentor. So I create my distant or invisible mentor or non-tangible mentor.
Yep.
And then I let them influence a lot of my thinking, and I decide to actually follow some of the things after, of course, filtering, because you want to avoid being dogmatic.
Yes.
You wanna filter. You wanna have your own understanding. You wanna make your own conclusions as well.
As a matter of
So
fact,
that is
Jim Rohn talks about it. He said, don't be a follower, be a student. Learn to listen to multiple people and draw your own conclusions. Do you agree and go in this direction with this person? And Adam, I want to piggyback on what you're saying there about following someone who's worthy following in terms of character, because it's important. And the first point that even John Maxwell makes here, a good mentor is a worthy example. Simply because I appreciate one characteristic in a person, or simply because someone quoted something that I believe is kind of like, life changing or important. If their character does not match some of the things that I'm looking for in that person, I don't think that I'll consider that person as a mentor. I can read their work. I can do research on whatever they're doing. I can spend time with them. I can ask them questions on certain aspect. But having that person influence more than one part of my life, if their character is not matching their action, or their character is not matching what they're saying. For example, there are a few things that I consider important in a mentor. For example, it'd be hard for me to follow someone who's a womanizer, someone who's polygamous. It will be hard for me to follow someone like that because their value and my values do not align. So it leads me back to another point. It's important to kind of start to identify and clarify your values before you start looking for someone to mentor you. Because the reality is that when someone has a strong influence on you, they can push you to do things that you've never dreamt of. They can push you to do things that you never imagined that you could do. I'll give a simple example again. Like if for example, for instance, that one of your mentors, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, depends on where you stand on this side of the issue. Let's say one of your mentors is alcoholic, right? He's a terrible alcoholic person. And the person tells you, drinking alcohol in excess is not bad. At the end of the day, you live, you die. And if you start going in that direction, if your mentor, for example, says, driving and drinking is not a problem, and if that person has so much influence on you, the danger is you may end up following the footstep of the person without even thinking a lot about what the person is doing. That's why even if you have 10 mentors, 15 mentors, I have a few mentors in a lot of areas of my life. In my marriage, I have a mentor. In my studies, I have a mentor. In my career, I have a mentor. In my speaking engagement, I have someone who coaches me and mentors me in all those aspects. But I'm careful to stick to the values that I believe are true. And as a Christian, most of my values, I draw them from the Bible. And whatever you believe, where do you draw your values from? And as Adam say, when you look at someone, what are the 10 things that you're looking for in that person? And do they align with the values that you're looking for in yourself?
Yeah, and just to jump into it, John C. Maxwell is giving here like what do you look into a mentor, like what is important, and he said the first thing is say a good mentor is a worthy example, and he started here, and I'm gonna quote him. He say, we become like the people we admire and the models we follow. For that reason, we should take great care when determine which people we ask to mentor us. They must not only display professional excellence and possess a skill set from which we can learn. They must also demonstrate character worthy of emulating. And that's so this kind of like turns out from like different, even celebrities. Right? You have people like who see this celebrity and people be crying. Okay, there's a controversial topic here, and there was a very controversial topic here. Something that happened in Africa recently, in the Congo, and I'm not against anybody's right. I believe that anyone, can go as far as their morals stop them. There's a lady that was arrested in Rwanda. She went to a concert and she was half naked, basically. She was basically just wearing an underwear, and then everything else was 100% transparent, so people could see through. And that is because she has been clearly influenced by there's the artist that was playing. It says, I believe, a reputation of literally people doing that on stage up there, or people not really dressing correctly and dressing correctly. Of course, it's also very relative,
right?
Just to not exclude a lot of people in the audience. But what's considered to be decent, where of
and in cultures, in different countries, what people consider
in the culture,
different.
Especially in the culture in Rwanda. Like Rwanda is one of the most strict countries when it comes to decency, and when something is against decency, is actually a punishable offense,
right,
in Rwanda. But there's been this kind of a movement of a celebrity encouraging this way of doing things, and the young lady, 24-year-old, now risking jail time for the simple fact that she had been influenced. She's taken a model out of what she has seen, and we've seen a lot, like on celebrities, people idolize Gabriel Union and everybody else and so many of them. But when it comes to the character of those people,
Mm.
you'll be changing your hair color, you'll be changing your way of walking, you even trying to work out like this person.
Mm.
You're trying to look to be 50 or 49 and look like Gabriel Union.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, do you actually know the character of that person?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how like which type of person he or she is at the personal level? Because that actually has a lot to do with, because every action, this is how it goes.
Mm.
And I think in asking powerful question, the author says that
Mm-hmm.
when you're leaving your house every morning,
Mm-hmm.
you make a decision.
Yeah.
That actually comes from your values.
Mm.
And it comes from your character.
Mm-hmm.
You make decisions over what you're gonna wear.
Mm-hmm.
You make decisions over how you're gonna look like overall.
Yes.
So you will go copying and pasting the way somebody else looked
Mm-hmm.
without actually knowing the values of that person
Or even the reasons
and
behind
the
them
character.
doing whatever
Yes,
they're doing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's defined that way, that style
Mm-hmm.
of clothing and what's determined that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you're gonna have Gabriel Union or whoever it is that you're gonna have, or I don't know. You can idolize LeBron James,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go and you see at the character level, like a lot of celebrities that we see, people just so idolize them,
Mm-hmm.
but then they end up being like rapists,
Mm-hmm.
or they end up doing all of these things. So it just doesn't mean that being excellence professionally, as John C. Maxwell is putting here,
Mm.
does not just give the person directly or automatically the position of influence over your life, or should not actually give that person that authority
Over your
over
life.
your life. There should be
Yep.
a way more.
Mm-hmm.
The conduct and the character
Yes.
should be something more important.
So, in other words, not only picking one aspect of someone's life that you appreciate and try to model your life after their whole lives without even understanding the other parts of their lives. And I think our enemy was our friend Ange that was saying that, am I looking at Elon Musk like a success? Yes. I mean, he's the first man to cross maybe the 300 billion, line as a businessman. But when you look at the other aspect, it's the same man who has 9 kids with 8 different women, do I also want to copy that aspect of the person? So it's always, there's a lot of twists, but when you try to start having someone who you can model your life after, it's important that you look at those factors. And before you start going out there seeking for a mentor or having a model, and sometimes we're just looking for people who are famous and all that, I can tell you that I'll say maybe 70 to 80% of our mentors are people you probably not see on celebrities platforms. They are people they are regular
Absolutely.
people, everyday people, other than my mentors that I follow on books like Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, Zig Ziglar, and all those big names. But they're regular people, but they have values, they have character, they have a certain character that they've built over the years that I appreciate and I like. The second thing that John Maxwell talks about here, about whom should you follow, he says that your mentor, a good mentor, is available. A good mentor is available to you. And I'll pick from another episode that I was listening to, The Best Man. It's a podcast on YouTube. I think I talked about it last time with Tim Ross. Wonderful podcast, and talked about a lot of issues that affect our generation. And Tim Ross was actually with Michael Todd, who is a pastor out of Oklahoma. He said that they gave this example about Jesus and mentoring his disciples. He said, man, grown men like Peter, like John, like all those disciples, they quit their regular 9 to 5 jobs for 3 years, following Jesus and learning from him. Maybe it's an exaggeration in our generation today to just quit your job to follow one person. You want Warren Buffett to be your mentor and you quit your job. If he's going to pay you, that's cool. If it's not, you still have responsibilities to your bill and things of that nature. But it just shows how much mentors are available to you. I'll say maybe more than 50% to 70% of my mentors are pretty much within a phone call. We don't see each other every day. We don't talk every week. But if I call them right now and I have an issue and I need to discuss with them, they may not be available in the next 30 minutes or in the next hour. But I know they are calling me back as soon as they are available. And as I grow older personally, I pay less attention to what men say. I just look at what they do. And it's crucial because going back again to the first law where it says to the first point that John Maxwell is talking about here, who should you follow? When he says that a good mentor is a worthy example, don't just listen to what people say. I know Adam likes to call them motivational speakers. They are only giving you, they're selling you a message. They're telling you all this great stuff. But when you look at their lives, it's not a good reflection. And when you're picking who you should follow, your mentor is available. And when he's available, look at the character of that person. Is this person truly reflecting the things that the person is preaching? And I want to make a quick note there. If you have a mentor, someone who's helped you and has always been available to you, and all of a sudden the person's starting to do some controversial things that are going against your values, it's okay to stop being mentored by that person. It's okay to acknowledge that this person has helped you from point A to point C in your life, but from this time on, you can no longer walk with a person if your values are not aligning. The third point, Adam?
Yeah, and just to add to this second point, of having your mentor, a good mentor has to be available. Has to be somebody you can reach out to when you need their help or when you need their support or when you need the mentorship. When it comes to mentorship, don't shoot for the star and then or don't shoot for the moon and then hope the star is gonna catch you. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't go. You just got into the company and then you're the one trying to get mentored by the CEO of the company. Like, just try to be very, like, for example, that is like, so actually I've worked for a company where the CEO was so accessible, right? So he was the door literally like across the hall from my office. So I could just like walk up to him and ask him a few questions and have a conversation with. But most places you go, the CEO is like way further up.
You don't even have access to VPs. The CEO, you don't even see him in the office.
VPs, like now think about it. So you don't want to be idolizing the CEO in your mind and having a whole cult of personality around. And especially this is a lot of my African brothers and sisters, the whole idea of cult of personality. So you have this worshiping this human being, like this one person that you barely have any access to. And then at the end of the day, you think that you're gonna get there, and he doesn't have time for you.
Or and even the time, even the time that you share, even the little time that you share, it's like it's on the clock, and sometimes won't even give you the answers that we actually help you in your growth or personal development or whatever you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. So, and it's what John Maxwell say here. He say, I'm saying, spend the majority of your time being mentored by people who are available, willing and suited for the stage of your career. Don't shoot for the moon and maybe the stars will catch you. Don't shoot for the CEO of the company when it comes to mentorship. Find somebody who is in the next step from where you are. And hopefully that person also is trying to grow and they're going to keep growing. And they also going to keep pushing you to grow. My mentor, that's a person who has been my mentor for the longest time, and this is almost in everything. His name is Dr. Neville Kisano. And Dr. Neville, ever since I met him, We exchange numbers. Dr. Neville is a very busy guy. He invented the vaccine for malaria.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a very busy guy. But he's a preacher, he's a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I spend time, when he's a phone call away, Dr. Neville.
Mm.
He sees my phone unless he's like extremely busy.
Mm.
And it's like, and then that's time he send me a text or an email that, hey, can I call you back? Or can I give you a call back this weekend? But he's accessible, even right now. Like, imagine like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. If he sees your phone call, he know that there is something
There's
that's
something going on
definitely
and he needs to
very
get to you.
important going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person who is in touch with you.
Yeah.
But don't be mentored by somebody so out of touch and so far off that the person has become very unreliable. If you see that in a mentor, just stop, because you're wasting your time.
Exactly. And I mean, it doesn't mean that if you stop being mentored by a person, you cannot keep the relationship with the person. You can still keep an open relationship with the person, meet with the person whenever you can meet. But when we're talking here about someone who mentors you, who's there to help you, direct you, and help you make some decisions in life.
Yeah. And to just go now to number 3, where you say a good mentor has proven experience. Experience, it's just simple, right? You won't tell me that it's like one of those videos on YouTube that there's a meme that says that the video says how to gain 1 million followers in three weeks,
and
then
guy
the
has
video
1,000
itself
followers.
it's been there for 7 years and has basically 3 views.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's like, I'm gonna always be picking on this book because I think like I spent so much time reading the book and then it didn't help me with anything.
Right.
Think and Grow Rich. So
it helped a lot of people.
It does. I guess it does. But the thing is, like, he's just telling stories in there. There's no conclusions. Like, literally, I got halfway through the book, and all I needed was I got was piece of history. Like how basically the steel company, like Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie got to the steel company. What is the story when they met with JP Morgan? What happened when they were together with Charles Schwab's, and the story of Henry Ford. It's stories.
Yeah.
There are no real conclusion. There are no real points that's actually being made.
And you're approaching the book as an engineer, which
probably.
I think that's what it is. Why. Because when I read the book, to be honest, reading those stories kind of expanded my ideas in a sense like, okay, so this is actually possible. In a sense, ideas. I believe ideas are born out of ideas, and but if you read it as a true engineer is looking for a solution, that's probably not a book.
The thing is, like, when you tell me Think and Grow Rich, by the title, I'm expecting that you are giving me clues and
thoughts
on how. It's literally like I got into the book and it was almost just like a jungle. Actually, the funny thing is, I don't think the author actually was rich. And I think if anything made him rich is when he actually saw the book.
Hey, that's smart. you can beat that.
Because I don't think he thought and became rich. Maybe he thought and made a book that actually made him rich.
That's what it is.
Millions of copies, right? So I think he sold millions of copies afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe that one, Napoleon Hill. I have nothing against Napoleon Hill, but even his idea of faith, I do I dare to it. The way he explained faith and
I struggle.
All of that stuff.
I personally struggle a little bit with that.
It didn't make any sense. To me, it just didn't make sense. I didn't finish the book. I read 75% of it. And then I was just like, man, I can't. He's not making points. I want points. Like John C. Maxwell, you read here, you know what to do. Like you finish, like, okay, I'm coming from here, I'm going to here. But so that when you're looking for a mentor, find somebody with experience.
Right.
Somebody who knows what they're actually doing and what they're talking about and who can make points on where to get. Like my boss, my mentor, my advisor, Dr. Jones, she has been everywhere I want to be. Like literally, like if you find one person that's and actually we were a perfect match when we started working together. She's exactly where I want to be. I mean, of course, a little bit of different path, but she went to Ivy League. I went to regular Texas school. But afterward, like what came after, even like came after a PhD, her journey after PhD, went to Harvard School of Medicine. I want to go to Harvard School of Medicine. So that's already a check for postdoc. Okay, she finished that. She secured a big startup grant to get started with her lab after that experience. I want to have that. And these days we spend the time with her. When in my mentorship time, we have something called the IDP, an individual development plan, where she's check marking. She's like, Adam, work on this. Okay, we check mark. And she has experience. She's not just telling me a story. We are not setting up a plan that she hasn't been through.
Right.
Yeah. So, and she knows the right people to contact. She knows who can do what. So those, like having that type of person in your life is actually important when somebody has experience. You know, like I'm going to quote something here. There's a Chinese proverb that John C. Maxwell quotes here. He says, to know the road ahead, ask those coming back.
Yep.
So for you to actually understand, for you to actually make it, you want to be a millionaire. You are being advised by a guy who barely has, like, who is living on day to day, like on paycheck to paycheck. That just doesn't make sense. You have to look for a millionaire who has been there, who has made $1 million, and who will help you ask the $1 million questions.
But also, you know, a twist to that as well is just ask the right person who not only has $1 million but has the experience to make $1 million. If the person made $1 billion by playing the lottery, you know, how much money are you willing to bet?
That cannot be scalable. I think I think Jim Allen he's talking about like scalability. So like those stuff you cannot scale.
You cannot scale and things like that.
You have to go to something. You have to be mentored. Actually, that's another point. You have to be mentored by somebody whose mentorship can be scaled.
Yes, I mean some lessons that are you know, logical and applicable. I think you talked about it earlier when we're talking about Jim, Chris Waldner, you know, about ethos, pathos, and logic. You know, where things that the person is telling you are these logical things. You know, and I think just to continue on that and to move on to the next one. Find a mentor who has a proven experience on the things that you want to achieve and the things that you want to do. It's one thing that, you know, over the years I've learned. I used to be very critical of older people. You know, I'm like, why are they doing this way? Why are they doing this way? It's not until, you know, I got married, became a parent, and I'm only a year into this experience. I don't even have any experience to share with y'all here. I'm only like a year and a few months into this experience that I finally started understanding some of the behaviors of our parents. And I don't fully understand. It's not that I agree with what they did or I agree with their approach or the things that they are doing, but sometimes I became a little bit more compassionate towards them because it's some of this reality that's finally hitting you and it's like, oh, maybe I never saw life in this perspective, you know, or maybe I never saw things in the other perspective. So it's very important to look for someone who has the type of experience that you're looking for. And it's in every aspect of their lives. But do not forget, we started by talking about the person being a worthy example. They may have the experience that you're looking for, but do they have the character and the values that you're looking for? A person can make $1 million by robbing a few banks, you know, 10 banks of $100,000, the person is a millionaire. Is that a path you want to follow? So I think that's the point we're trying to make here. The next one is kind of in relation with the previous one. A good mentor possesses wisdom. I like this quote that I heard a long time ago, that intelligence is knowing what to do. Intelligence is knowledge, of having the knowledge. You know what you should do. You know the things that should be there. Knowing what to do does not mean that you're going to do it. Wisdom is applying that knowledge. And a good quote that I was saying that I heard a few years ago is that intelligence is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not adding tomato in your fruit salad. So it's kind of a twist where when you look for a mentor, and I know wisdom has always been one of those subjects where people can hardly define what wisdom is, what wisdom is in Christianity, in Buddhism, and wisdom in Islam can mean completely different things. But we all know, we can agree on this fact that wisdom is applied knowledge. How well are you applying your knowledge? And then when it comes to other things, when it pertains to your beliefs, whether you believe in God or you believe in the laws of the universe, that's the person have the wisdom that you're looking for. Knowing is one thing. Some people know a lot of things. They've been to a lot of places. They've done a lot of things, but they have one problem. They can't teach it. Have you ever seen those people that they know a lot of things? They have this knowledge and you appreciate them, you love them, you want to be close to them. But as soon as you get close to them, like, what's wrong with this person? You feel like the person is actually blocking you out, but it's not that the person is keeping you out, it's that the person cannot transmit what they have. So when you're looking for a mentor, also look for someone who can actually transmit that knowledge to you and help you apply the knowledge as your mentor at school, Adam. Sitting with someone, I think that's one of the most crucial things that you do with mentors. My mentor, who actually mentored me a lot with Plamedy before we got married, and he still mentors us today. I think every week. The other week, last week, I was with him on a phone call for like 3.5 hours, and I don't get on phone calls like that. But I talked to him for 3.5 hours. We're just discussing, going through different aspects of our lives, of our child raising, of marriage, and all those aspects. And he was giving me some strategies, some things that I need to apply as a husband, as a father, things that I need to look out for. And I think it's very, very important, very valuable to a person. So when you have a mentor, try to look for someone who can also transmit that knowledge and the wisdom they possess to you.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna quote John C. Maxwell because you have put it very well already. That's the definition of knowledge, of wisdom, which is in this case applied knowledge, and that's the most perfect definition. Because how do people become wise? The way people become wise is they have empirical knowledge about something. They go through an experience. They filter that knowledge, and it becomes wisdom. It becomes something that's already been proven to work. It's like the example you said on how to make $1 million. A person who has made $1 million through hard work can easily share what is behind the scenes of making $1 million.
Right.
And John C. Maxwell says, wise people often use just a few words to help us learn and develop. They open our eyes to world we might not have otherwise seen without their help. They help us navigate difficult situations. They help us to see opportunities we would otherwise miss. They make us wiser than our years and experience. That last sentence
I love
there,
that. I love that.
It's very important. They make us wiser than our years and experience. I'm going to share one thing personal about that part of the story. I go around telling stuff all the time to people. You invite me, oh yeah, let's talk about politics. I open up, yeah, I'll talk to you about Trump, Putin, and Zelensky, or Sarkozy and François Hollande. Or we go to Africa, I will tell you. We go to Venezuela, I'll tell you about Maduro.
Right.
All those stuff, right? And then, okay, we'll change the topic, and you bring up something else that we'll talk about, and again. And people always wonder, like, actually, this person one day they call me an encyclopedia, and I said, no, it's not that. it's where I actually got this wisdom from, this way of just this love of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it from my dad.
Mm.
My dad made us wiser than our years and experience, and this runs in family.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had great expectations. He exposed us to some things that were mostly like above our age
Mm.
and above just the average kid
Mm-hmm.
would know.
Mm.
And we have access to that. He put that wisdom inside us. I was a kid, 11-year-old. Was it 11? No, I was 13 or 13. I wasn't even 13-year-old then. I was probably 12 or 13 when I was so interested in soccer.
Mm.
And my dad put me into I didn't know how to play soccer, but I was interested. So he got me trained in sport management.
Mm.
There's people from the African Football Confederacy,
Yes.
and they came to train people in Goma.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a part of that training. And now you can ask me about what is the sports regulations and stuff. And I can tell you about it. I learned those 13
Right.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's above, it's beyond your years and the experience. What you've been through when you talk to a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
it saves you the years of you trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. Mentors will save you so many years in your life, and especially I'll
Yeah.
probably say this when it comes to marriage. A lot of my mentors were sharing with me like their first year experience, and a lot of couples will tell you this: their first year was probably rough. The readjustment, getting together, getting to know the person, and because of what they were sharing with me, I already kind of found all the pitfalls of that first year. And what did Plamedy and I do? We just avoided them. It's like, okay, if there's an argument, let's sit down. Instead of starting to call your dad and starting to call your pastor, sit down as a couple, try to resolve them. And that point that you made right there, and I think that's the power of mentorship. And I just want to add to what you're saying, Adam. It's cool to hang around with people of your generation. It's cool to hang around with friends with whom you have the same age and with whom that you can share the same values, the same fun. You're in college, you want to hang around with other college kids. You're in the professional world, you want to hang around with other professional people around your age. You just feel more comfortable. But the reality is, if you are looking for growth and experience, sometimes you won't find it among your peers. Sometimes you need to reach out to people who are in higher position, in higher generation, people who have experienced the life that you are looking for. The example that Adam was giving before about, the two doctors that I'm mentoring him, reaching out to people who are a little bit older than you. We actually even change your way of thinking. And this is amazing because as a youngster, I get concerned, I get worried, And then sometimes I'll talk to my mentors, to people who are older than me, and the way they respond to my concern or worries actually takes the worry away. Because they're like, Mark, that's kind of not a big deal as you sit right now. It may seem big to you right now, but I can assure you it's not a big deal. The reason why they can say that and they can see that is because they've been through that and they know what's laying ahead and they can give me that confidence. So I think the last point that Adam, you made, that's very crucial. Just sharing that experience with you will save you so many years.
Yeah. And on number 5, he's saying a good mentor provides friendship and support. And for this one, actually, there's a quote here, and then I'm gonna just explain and give a few of my experience on this particular part. He say here, and he's quoting James S. Vuokolo, and he's saying, "Great things happen whenever we stop seeing ourselves as God's gift to others, and begin seeing others as God's gift
to us."
And that goes both when you are mentoring and when you are being mentored. You see, there is an idea of codependence. that is right here between you and your mentor.
Yeah.
And and that idea of codependence there is what he's quoting here. Is that you gotta develop that relationship where all of this, you're not, I mean, you are not looking at the mentor as a god or as
Right.
somebody that is a way above. You're looking for somebody like he's where you want to be, but he's not your boss. He's not, no, he can be your boss if he's at work, but
Right.
he's not the leader of your life.
In other words, someone you can relate to.
Somebody you can relate to. And I'm gonna give just an example of my friend Justin Mugabe. He's over in Goma. Justin, we met in 2018. Really good friends. Justin went to school in the US, just like me. He graduated. I asked Justin, like, what's next, bro? He's like, yeah, I got a job at Goldman Sachs, but I don't think I'm gonna take it. It's a really good job. I mean, if you live in America, Goldman Sachs. It's like
top of the notch.
It's all the way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, no, bro, I don't think I'm gonna take it. I'm moving back home. I'm like, home where? Yeah, back home to Goma. Justin went to Goma. He got to Goma, launched his company, Silent Blue Technologies. For people in Goma, they probably know it. Silent Blue is really growing really fast because there's a very smart guy behind it. There's Justin and another guy, another friend of mine, Othaniel Pilipili. They co-founded the company. And Justin, I talk more about Justin because Justin has been a mentor to me ever since he's there. Moved to Goma in 2019, built a company really strong. In 1 year, the company was flourishing, really making good money. He called me, we had just a chat. And he's like, bro, why are you not going back home again? And that I was looking for a job in the industry, I was, struggling, looking for a position.
Yeah.
And Justin goes, bro, why are you not coming home again? I'm like, no, really. And he's talking to her like with so much respect and so much with friendship, like maintaining that friendship relation. Yeah, and it is actually to also show you that it doesn't have to be. You can have a peer, who's also your mentor. So it doesn't have to be somebody who I guess is like very old and super old and you cannot relate to. No, you can have your peer like Justin. He's a peer of mine. He's a good friend. But at the same time, Justin mentors me. Justin was there at the very early signs of starting Bora. He inspired me to start Bora. When he say that, when he just say like, yeah, why are you not coming back? All that, I was like, I mean, I don't have to be back to start a company. I can launch it from here. And Justin has been there from the taxis to paperwork of the government to anything. He offered both his support and he's doing it as a friend. And he's really helping. He's been the most helpful person that I've met in that country, actually. And yeah, it's just to kind of show you that point. And I'm gonna kind of close up as we move on forward. John Maxwell says, if the person who offers you to mentor you doesn't really support you and offer you friendship, then the relationship will always fall short of your expectations. Knowledge without support is sterile. Advice without friendship feels cold. Candor without care is harsh. However, when you are being helped by someone who cares for you, it is emotionally satisfying. Growth comes from both the head and the heart. Only supportive people are willing to share both with you. And that's, to me, is my friend Justin.
And that's very, very, very important, and as Adam said, a very good point. Mentors can not only be, people who are much older than you, but also people around you, your peers. In my experience, I just happen to have a lot of my friends are really like 10, 15 years older than me in most cases, at least the people that have been mentoring me. And even with that age gap, most of them, I mean, all of my mentors actually have chosen to have me as a friend. Of course, coming from an African cultural background, when someone is like that old, you call them yaya, like a big brother, big sister, or if they're even much older to be your parent, you pretty much just call them dad or mom. And these people, I call them dad, I call them mom, and sometimes, one thing that has always been very encouraging to me is when we meet their peers, they never present me as their mentee. They always go like, "Hey, meet my friend Marc-Alain," and I am thinking to myself, do I really fit in the categories of your friend or stuff like that? And that's what John Maxwell says emotionally. It does a lot to me emotionally, and a mentor-mentee relationship doesn't have to be a one-way street. It's not. It doesn't always have to be the mentor is pouring into you, the mentor who's giving you things, the mentor who's teaching you things. What can you also bring to the relationship with your mentor? And I think that's another aspect that we need to discuss when it comes to mentorship. Don't be a burden to your mentor. Don't be that person when you show up, it's like, he's here again, Even when they're supporting you, and even to an extent where sometimes there is pretty much nothing you can do for them. Some people are really have everything that you can ever think of, you can ever think of, and you feel like there's nothing you can do for them, but bring your contribution to the relationship. And I think in the future we talk about it on even how to prepare your meetings when you're going to meet your mentor, how to be a good mentee. Don't just waste someone's time because you just wanna brag about it. Oh, I'm being mentored by Elon Musk, or I'm being mentored by Warren Buffett. Are you actually learning something from them, or are you actually being a contributor in that relationship? And finishing up with the last one here, we crossed the top of the hour. I think this is the only thing we discussed today, and we try to finish up the two other laws next week. The last point that John Maxwell makes here is that a good mentor is a coach who makes a difference in people's lives. And there are two, it gives an acronym of a coach, and then there's a quote here it gives by Andy Stanley, which I like to read. He say, "You can never maximize your potential in any area without coaching. It's impossible. You may be good. You may even be better than everyone else, but without outside input, you will never be as good as you could be." And personally, as being a big fan of basketball and having, watched basketball over the years, I can tell you that is very true when it comes to coaching. You need people from the outside. You can be the smartest guy in the room. You can be the smartest guy on the planet Earth. You can have the greatest skills. But even Michael Jordan needed Coach Phil. And when you look at the life of Kobe and Shaq, they were a great duo, probably one of the best duo that has ever been in the NBA in the story of the NBA. But they still needed the help of Coach Phil before they won their first championship, and they went on to win 3 championships together before they split ways. Coaching is important, and I like the way John Maxwell builds on this book. It goes by teaching the fundamentals first. It teaches you things like humility. You cannot be coach unless you're humble. The person who thinks that he knows everything has nothing else to learn. If in your head you believe that you're better than everyone, that you know everything, that you are always the best, there's a difference between being confident and being prideful. Confidence, you believe in your ability, you believe in what God has given you. Pride is thinking that you do not need the help of anybody else, is thinking of yourself too much. You're thinking that without you, the world cannot advance. If you quit this company, the company is going down. Sometimes it's not all that. So it's important before you get into mentorship, check your level of humility. Sometimes, here's the truth. Mentors may rebuke you. They may rebuke you for something, a mistake that you've made. And sometimes they'll treat you as a kid, like their own kid. Some of my mentors pretty much at the age of my parents. And they will literally rebuke me and tell me, do not do this and do not do this way. And because of humility, you sit back and reflect on what they've told you. I'm not saying that you should accept everything that your mentor is telling you. Like you're taking it 100% that this is the gospel of Jesus Christ. No. Sometimes you need to sit down and question the things that they're telling you. But in everything, when someone is giving you a rebuke, ask yourself the question, is what they're saying true? It doesn't matter if it's someone who supports you or someone who hates you. Ask yourself the question, is what the person saying true? If what the person is saying true, what can you do about it? Can you change? Can you adapt? Can you improve yourself? If what the person is saying is not true, you don't have to go back and slap them in their face. Like, I don't know why in these generations we always try to get even with people. I don't know what's the point of getting even with people. If someone says something that you know deep inside of you is not true, then there's no point for you to go back there and try to defend yourself. Sometimes it doesn't help. So the acronym it gives about coach is say a coach care for the people they coach. We talked about that. Someone who can befriend you, who cares about you, who cares about yourself. They observe their attitude, their behavior, and their performance. And I think Adam talked about that earlier, about the idea about where you're sitting with someone and checking every single step. Have you done A, B, C, D? Are you achieving this? And people you can always go back to. But here's the other thing I'd like to say before I move on. Mentors do not have to do the thinking for you. You have to put in some work. Don't just expect people to be out there. Like, we've been talking about having mentors who are millionaires, who want to teach you how to become a millionaire. Don't just sit down there and think that they'll do everything for you, that they trade every stock for you, that they do every research for you, they read every book for you. No, there's some work you also have to put in there to improve that relationship. The third thing is they align them with their strength for peak performance. And I think that's one of the best things these mentors can do for you. Like your mentor, Adam, we look at you going into this direction and say, Adam, I think you'll be better if you went into this other direction because I've identified your strength. And for someone to do that, the person has to observe you and care about you. The fourth thing it says here, communicate and give feedback about your performance. If your mentor assigns something to you, and especially if they're close to you where you are doing things that they're watching, that they're overseeing, it's important to receive that feedback from them. They can tell you, hey, great job, keep going. Or they can tell you, oh, next time, adjust this or adjust that. One of my mentors in communication, every time I have a speaking engagement, the person goes online, watches every single thing I say, every single thing, even our podcast. The person listens to the podcast and we come back to me and say, Mark, next time if you want to capture your audience, go this direction, go that direction. So that feedback about your performance is also important. And the last thing about the acronym of coach is help them to improve their lives and performance. They actually do help you to improve your life and performance. Anything else, Adam?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add, just to kind of wrap this up. The people you follow, and this is by John C. Maxwell, that the people you follow, the models you emulate, the mentors you take advice from, help to shape you. If you spend your time with people who subtract from you, who belittle you, or undervalue you, then every step forward that you attempt to take will be difficult. But if you find wise leaders, good role models, positive friends, you will find that they speed you on your journey. And that's what it is. If you have mentors, as we mentioned, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through the pain that they went through. I mentor people, and I'm mentored by people. And one of the things that I do, I make sure, the reason why I mentor is because I came to the US as a 17-year-old immigrant with not a lot of support at least at the very beginning, actually. Just coming with, the help of my parents, but not that I had a whole plan here. I was 17, which means I could not even do anything by myself.
You don't have a valid driver license and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't have a
It's
license.
a pain.
I don't have nothing. I have nothing.
Even hard to travel by yourself.
No, my dad had to take me to the embassy so they can give me the visa. I had to be with my dad on the interview. So they are sending me here to college. And I had to go through some of the toughest positions ever. I had to spend some of the crazy amount of money.
Mm.
But I told myself that none of the people that I mentor will have to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a chance to mentor some young men who went to school with really good scholarships.
Mm.
They went to school, almost studied for free, and now they are really living their best lives out there
Mm-hmm.
in the industry, making good money,
Mm.
and even applying for positions that I would never wish for. I didn't even wish for when I was at their level.
Mm-hmm.
Going to colleges that I didn't even wish for when I was at their level.
Mm.
So it's that. Just this last point, he says, mentors are supposed to speed you on.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to sprint faster
Mm.
through things because you have people in your corner that have been through the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand what it takes, and they have what it takes
Mm.
that can also help you achieve what you need to achieve to get where you want to be.
And to that,
And that's my words.
yeah, to that last point, Adam, as you mentioned that you've been mentored by people, but you also decided to pay it forward. I think John Maxwell talks about it in Law 15, and we are going to talk about it. I can't really remember what the law says. I believe it's leaving a legacy. Something close to that. Let me check it out. So
The law of contribution.
the law contribution. How do you contribute to others? And it also ensures that you've actually learned the lessons, that you've learned the lessons and you're paying it forward. And I think it's very, very crucial and very important. Myself, I have a story of that nature. I know Adam and I came here in two different circumstances. I came as an immigrant. I immigrated here not as a student. So there's so many things that I could have done wrong. I remember one of my mentors, he told me the story that when he came here, the first car he bought, he had a 25% interest on it. Like, and to this day, that still blows me. And, he started coaching me about, building up a credit, started showing me the priorities, especially when you come to this country as an immigrant, not as not as a student. There's so many realities that hit you. I mean, all groups are hit by different realities, and you start facing realities like, oh, all of a sudden you have to pay rent, you have to get a car, you have to get a job, you have to get all those stuff, and sometimes, regardless of your will to go to school, sometimes the reality may hit you so hard that all your goals, your dreams, and your vision, your desires may just vanish within the first few years, and you get into this rat race. And a person once said that, I can't remember what said. He said the problem with the rat race is even when you win, you're still a rat, and you get into this routine of doing the same things every day. And I had a group of people, a group of elders at my church that I still keep great relationship with today, that showed me some strategies. One of them is actually a Raytheon. Has been working there for a few years, for more than a decade now. He came here and as a youngster and all that, and he started building a family and started going to school a little bit late in his life. He told me that he took him 9 years to get his bachelor's degree. Today he has a master's degree. He has this great position at Raytheon. And he started telling me the things not to do, avoiding certain things, and which saved me a whole lot of time that I don't think I could have saved otherwise if I tried things my own way, taking me to college, taking me to register, taking me to certain job that was going to help me to actually balance school and work. And I think above everything that a mentor can do for you, what else can you do for someone else who is in the same position as you were before? How can you pay forward for the things that a person has invested in your life? So if you don't have mentors, or if you don't have a mentor, and as I said, Adam made a very good point. A mentor doesn't have to be someone who's 20 years older than you, someone sometimes you can hardly relate to. It can be your peer. Sometimes the mentors can even be younger than you. If they've had the experience that you're looking for in the areas in which you're looking for them, why not? Go for it. But if you do not have a mentor, if you don't have someone who's coaching you, teaching you certain things in your life, start with books. If you don't know where to start with books, big books. Start reading books and consider the values. What are your values? What are the things that you value today? And what are the things that you're looking into other people's lives? Ladies and gentlemen, is with that we'll be finishing our episode today. Next week, we continue. Hopefully, I'll try to finish up with the law of expansion. The law of expansion is actually a law that I found very, very personal to me. This book, when I first read it in 2018, I think I dwell on this law more than I dwell on any other law. Of course, with the law of intention as well, that was one of the most powerful ones. But the law of expansion, and the law of expansion simply says that growth always increases your capacity. As a matter of fact, how do you double, triple, quadruple your salary within a few years? Is by expanding. Growth, we always expand your capacity, and it's with that we ending today. We talk about that next Tuesday. And again, do not forget that our next book is The 7 Money Rules for Life by Mary Hunt. If you want to get a head start on that book, you can go ahead and do so. And if you're not subscribed on our YouTube channel, you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe. If you are listening to us for the first time on Spotify or Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Teacher, Amazon Music, we also encourage you to subscribe. Send us your feedback. We are running a survey right now. We probably post it on our Instagram page. We want to hear your feedback. We want to know what are your most challenging issues when it comes to growth and personal development. We want to know where you're listening from. We want to know as much as we can about you so that we can truly make this podcast about you. It's not about us. It's about you. It's about the lessons that we are learning together as we are growing together. We're sharing this journey with you. And we definitely would like to see some of y'all joining us in the future episode. Shout out to Paul Ntambwe. I had a very wonderful conversation with one of our listeners. He's all the way out from Brazil. An amazing story, and I hope one day we have the time to host him on our podcast and have some discussions with him, as well as Grady coming from Tembo to South Africa as a border scholar here now in America. We really have a great story to tell, a lot of great stories to tell here. And until next Tuesday, y'all have a wonderful one, and God bless you. As always, we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.